She was standing right there, arms crossed, fake smiling like she owned the sun, while her spoiled brat peeled out of our driveway in my wife's red convertible. I shouted, "Hey, that's not your car." But Karen didn't even blink. "It's an HOA matter," she said, tilting her sunglasses down like some kind of discount movie villain. "Maybe next time park it in your garage like the rest of us." The engine roared down the street as her teenage son Caleb sped off like it was a Fast and Furious audition. My wife was in tears. That car was her late father's. Classic, spotless, and the only thing that ever made her smile on bad days. And now, it was flying down Maple Ridge Drive in the hands of a kid who once got suspended for crashing a golf cart into a neighbor's fence. I pulled out my phone, furious. "I'm calling the cops," Karen laughed. "You'll be calling them on yourself if you're not careful. You're in violation." "Violation of what? My own driveway?" I snapped. She stepped closer. "You're still on probation with the HOA, remember? The noise complaint, the untrimmed hedge. My wife was in the hospital that week," I said, holding back the urge to scream. Karen smiled. "Excuses don't change the rules." And then, like some cursed movie script, the phone buzzed in my hand. Unknown number. I answered, and a shaky voice came through. "Sir, this is Officer Daniels. We've had a crash on Oakwood BLVD, red convertible. Belongs to a Melissa Grant." My wife's legs gave out. She fell to her knees on the porch. "And Karen?" She just muttered, "Told you he couldn't handle it," and walked back to her perfect little porch like nothing had happened. But what came next, Karen never saw it coming, because she picked the wrong driveway. The wreck was bad. Not life-threatening, but bad enough to total the car. By the time we got to the scene, the convertible was wrapped halfway around a stop sign, steam pouring. From the hood, windshield cracked like a spiderweb. Caleb sat on the curb, arms crossed like he was the victim. No scratches, just attitude. The cop standing there turned as I approached. "You the owner?" I nodded, trying to keep it together. My wife's hand clutched mine, shaking. "That's our car," I said. "It was stolen." Caleb scoffed. "I didn't steal it. I borrowed it. It was unlocked. Keys were in it. That means it's fair game, right?" My jaw clenched. "You trespassed. That's our private property." Karen's SUV pulled up just then and she strutted out like she was walking a fashion show. "Don't you dare raise your voice at my son," she snapped, pointing her manicured finger at me. The officer stepped in between us. "Ma'am, I'm still gathering statements. Please calm down." "Calm down?" She scoffed. "That car was a violation. They left it out for days. It was just sitting there. He was doing the neighborhood a favor. Now they're trying to make my son into some criminal?" I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Karen turned to the officer. "I'm pressing charges. They let a minor access an unlocked vehicle. That's endangerment, emotional distress. My son's traumatized." The officer raised an eyebrow. "You want to press charges against them?" Karen nodded like she'd rehearsed it. "I've already called our HOA legal team. They agree. We're suing." My wife gasped. "You're suing us?" Karen smiled. "Hope that garage is big enough to cry in." And then she dropped the line that nearly pushed me over the edge. "Besides, I heard from the board, y'all might not even legally own that car." That's when something clicked in my head. She didn't know what I knew. She didn't know who she was messing with, and the paperwork, the footage, the connection I had. Let's just say, it was about to blow this whole HOA circus wide. When you said I didn't say a word at the scene, just stared at Karen, memorizing the smug little smirk she wore like armor. She thought we were weak, easy targets. Probably thought we'd fold, take the blame, maybe even pay for the damage to our own car. But I had something she didn't. I had receipts. When we got home, my wife was still trembling. I helped her sit down, then opened the locked drawer in my office and pulled out the thick manila folder. Title, registration, HOA bylaws, even video backups from our security cameras. But the real gem? A little business card clipped to the folder with 3 letters in gold print. JAG, Judge Advocate General. My brother-in-law, David, was military legal, stationed out in Virginia, but still licensed in-state. When the HOA first started threatening us over lawn height and unsanctioned mailbox paint, he told me to document everything. I had. Every fake notice, every unannounced inspection, every time Karen stepped foot on our property without warning. And now? I had footage of Caleb walking up, checking if the doors were locked, getting in and peeling out, clear as day. I uploaded the files to a shared drive and shot David a message. Less than 10 minutes later, he called. "You have everything?" he asked. "More than she can handle," I said. "Good. Send me a copy. I'll loop in a judge I know. And listen, don't confront her yet. Let her hang herself with her own rope. But if they actually try to serve you papers, call me first." 2 days later, a white envelope slid into our mailbox. No stamp, no return address. Just the word notice printed in bold, all caps. Karen's doing. Inside, a ridiculous list of violations, unsafe property conditions, failure to secure vehicle, public endangerment, and a fine totaling over $14,000. My wife stared at it in disbelief. She really thinks this'll scare us? I smiled, the first real smile in days. No, but I think it's about time she found out what fear really feels like. Because what she didn't know was that I had just received an email confirmation. From David. The footage was being reviewed by a military judge. And Karen's legal team? They were about to be the punchline of a courtroom joke. 3 days later, just after noon, Karen came knocking. Not ringing, not calling, knocking. Loud, deliberate, and smug, like she expected to be greeted with applause. I opened the door halfway. She stood there in her pastel pink blazer, HOA clipboard in hand, sunglasses on like she was allergic to humility. Behind her, Caleb leaned against her car, scrolling his phone like none of this was real. "We've reviewed your appeal," Karen said, not even waiting for a greeting. "And the HOA board has decided to move forward with community-level arbitration. You'll be expected to appear next Friday at the clubhouse." "Arbitration?" I asked. "Over your kid stealing our car?" She raised a brow. "Over your negligence that endangered a minor. Caleb's seeing a therapist now, you know, he's having nightmares." My wife stepped forward, fists clenched. "He destroyed my father's car and nearly killed himself." Karen didn't flinch. "And I'm sorry for your loss, but if you hadn't left the car out, this wouldn't have happened. I suggest you start preparing a statement, maybe an apology. 2. I leaned on the doorframe, keeping calm. "You sure you want to do this? You really want this on record?" Karen scoffed. "I was born to keep records. HOA bylaws are clear." That's when I said it, just one sentence, quiet, dead serious. "Funny. The state judge I spoke to yesterday says otherwise." Karen's face twitched. "Judge?" I nodded slowly. "You know. JAG officer. Military circuit. Said you might want a lawyer up if you're putting fake violations in people's mailboxes. Said impersonating legal authorities a felony in most counties." For the first time since this started, she didn't have a snarky comeback. I'm within my rights," she muttered. "No," I said, stepping forward. "You are just a neighbor with a clipboard, not a cop, not a judge, not a lawyer, and soon you won't even be on the board." She blinked. "You're bluffing." I pulled out my phone and showed her the paused footage. Caleb walking up our driveway, opening the door, starting the car, and speeding off. All time-stamped, all clear. Karen's color drained. My voice dropped. "We're filing charges. Real ones. And next time you step on my property, it won't be a conversation. It'll be trespassing." She turned without another word. Caleb glanced up as she passed and muttered, "Whatever." They got in the SUV and drove off. My wife leaned against me, her voice low. "You think she's actually scared?" I smiled again. "She's not scared, yet, but she will be. Because David just sent another message, formal charges filed. Court date locked. And the local news, they were very interested in the HOA president who was nervous. Faking notices the entire HOA board. Emails started circulating. Quiet ones at first. Phrases like pending legal inquiry, request for emergency meeting, and possible misuse of authority. Someone had leaked the footage. I didn't, but I had a feeling David knew exactly where to send it to make the right people panic. On Friday morning, instead of the clubhouse arbitration Karen had so confidently scheduled, I received a formal letter from the board. HOA hearing postponed indefinitely pending investigation. That same afternoon, a white sedan pulled up to our house. A man in a dark suit stepped out, badge clipped to his belt. Real one this time. "Mr. Grant?" he asked. "I'm Detective Reese. We've received multiple complaints about the HOA president here, and I believe you have some evidence we need to see." I let him inside, gave him the full folder, emails, security footage, even the fake violation notes, 2 of which were dated before any real HOA complaint had even been filed. He nodded slowly, flipping through them. "You know this could easily turn into a criminal impersonation case. Civil harassment, too. Maybe even conspiracy to defraud." I didn't say anything. Just waited. Detective Reese looked up. "We're already interviewing board members. One of them claims Karen's been forging signatures on community notices. If that checks out, this won't stay local." Outside, my wife watched from the porch, arms crossed. Reese followed my gaze. "We'll take it from here. But if I were you, I'd keep your security cams rolling, just in case she tries to retaliate." I nodded. "Already done?" And sure enough, that night at exactly 2:14 a.m., our motion alert pinged. Karen was back. She stood at the edge of our driveway, in a robe and slippers, just staring at the house like she was trying to burn it down with her eyes. Then she walked up, pulled something from her purse and stuck a note on our door. By morning, it was gone. But what she didn't know, the camera caught everything. And that note? We had it. We had her exact handwriting, matching the fake HOA letters. She thought she was untouchable. But the walls were closing in, and the next knock on her door wouldn't be mine. It happened 3 days later, right in the middle of one of her precious HOA beautification walks. Karen, dressed head to toe in lavender activewear, was leading a small group of neighbors down Sycamore Lane, clipboard in hand, pointing at trash cans left out a few minutes too long, garden gnomes that violated visual uniformity, and a wreath that she said was too political. She didn't notice the 2 unmarked cruisers roll up behind her. She sure noticed when the plainclothes officers stepped out. "Karen Myers," one of them called. She paused, turned halfway, still holding her pen mid-air like she was about to cite a mailbox, "Yes?" she said, already defensive. "You're under investigation for impersonation of legal authority, falsifying documents, and criminal harassment." Gasps rippled through the HOA walking group. "You must be joking," Karen said, trying to laugh. "This is ridiculous. I'm the president of this HOA." The second officer held up a paper. "This is a subpoena. You'll need to come with us for questioning. You're not under arrest yet, but I suggest you call your lawyer." Karen's smile snapped off her face like a light switch. One of the neighbors, a quiet man from down the street who Karen once fined for putting up Halloween lights too early, pulled out his phone and started recording. Karen finally noticed. "Turn that off," she barked. Too late. The video hit Facebook by sunset. By the next morning, it was on a local news site. Then, a national HOA watchdog forum. The title read, "HOA President Under Investigation After Teen Crashes Stolen Convertible." The comments, "Brutal." She weaponized the rules. "This is what happens when Karens get clipboards. My man said you picked the wrong driveway and meant it." Back at our house, things were quiet, peaceful, no fake notices, no midnight lurking. The convertible was gone, towed off to a junkyard, but in its place my wife had planted wildflowers. She looked at me one morning and said, "You think she'll go to jail?" I shrugged. "That's up to the DA now. But either way, she won't be walking around here like she runs the place anymore." We sat in the sun, coffee in hand, listening to nothing but birds. For the first time in weeks, silence felt like justice. But just when I thought it was over, just when I thought she'd been silenced for good, my phone buzzed. Blocked number. One-word text. You'll regret this. I looked at my wife. She saw my face. What is it? She asked. I turned the screen so she could see. Karen wasn't done. Not yet. I didn't reply to the message. I didn't need to. Instead, I forwarded it straight to David, along with the screenshot and timestamp. Within minutes, he called. She's spiraling, he said. Threats like that, even over text, can be used in court. Keep your heads down and don't engage. Let the system tighten around her. But deep down, I knew Karen wasn't the kind of person who goes down quietly. She wasn't just power-hungry. She was obsessed. She needed to control things, and when people like her start losing that control, they get sloppy and dangerous. That night, around 11:30, our front lights cut out. Just for a second. Long enough to make my wife look up from her book. You see that? She asked. I nodded, already checking the security feed. Nothing so far, until a shadow moved past the side fence. Slow, cautious. Then the alert hit. Motion detected. Driveway. 11:31 p.m. I pulled the live feed on my phone and froze. Karen, wearing black, hood up, gloves on. She crouched near our trash bins, doing something with a small metal object. What is she doing? My wife whispered. I zoomed in. It was a gas can. No hesitation. I called 911. The operator picked up. 911, what's your emergency? My neighbor is on my property with a gas can. She's vandalized us before. We have video footage. She's here right now. Dispatch confirmed officers were in the area. 2 minutes later, sirens wailed down the block. Karen looked up like a deer in headlights and ran. Tried to bolt through the side yard, but she didn't know about the wire fence my dog had knocked halfway loose the week before. She tripped, face first into the bushes. The cops were on her in seconds. They pulled her up, scratched, shaking, mascara running. My wife and I stood on the porch as the officers cuffed her. You tried to burn our home? My wife said, her voice breaking. For what? Karen hissed back through her teeth. You ruined everything. You humiliated me. One of the officers read her rights, but I barely heard. I was staring at the gas can, half full, cap loosened. She wasn't bluffing. She really thought she could erase us. But this wasn't just HOA drama anymore. This was arson. This was federal. And Karen Myers was done pretending to be anything other than what she really was, a criminal. And now, she'd be facing real power. In a real courtroom. You said the trial was swift. Faster than anyone expected. Turns out Karen had more skeletons in her closet than just HOA threats and late-night gas cans. Once the charges were filed, other neighbors started coming forward. Quiet ones. The older couple at the end of the block. The single mom whose son got fined for drawing chalk on the sidewalk. Even a disabled vet Karen once shamed publicly for having a ramp installed without prior approval. Every story told the same tale. Abuse of power, intimidation, forged letters, fake fees. David helped connect them all, bundled their statements into a file thicker than a phone book, and handed it to the district attorney personally. The day of the hearing, the courthouse. Parking lot was full, not with protesters, not with press, with neighbors, people who once nodded politely when Karen passed, now showing up to watch her fall. Inside, she looked different. No more designer suits, no clipboard, just a beige jumpsuit and cuffs around her wrists. When the prosecutor showed the footage, Caleb stealing the convertible, Karen placing fake violation notices, her threatening texts, the gas can footage, Karen didn't even look up. The room was silent. Then the judge leaned forward and said the words that no one had expected to hear so soon. Bail denied. Defendant will be held pending further charges. Whispers erupted. Karen's attorney tried to object. Your Honor, this is a misunderstanding. My client, the judge cut him off. Your client attempted arson on a home with a family inside. This goes far beyond a homeowner's dispute. My wife squeezed my hand. I just kept my eyes on Karen. She looked right at me once. Just once. And I swear, she wasn't angry anymore. She was afraid. We left the courtroom to a round of quiet nods from neighbors who used to avoid eye contact. The board issued a statement the next day. Effective immediately, Karen Myers has been removed from all HOA positions. An interim committee will oversee operations until a formal election. But honestly, no one even wanted the job. The community had changed. People were talking again, sharing stories, helping each other out. No more petty notices, no more silent fear. One afternoon, as we planted a new garden where the convertible used to sit, my wife turned to me and said something I'll never forget. We didn't just win, we took our neighborhood back. I nodded, dirt on my hands, sun on my face, because she was right. Karen thought she owned everything, but in the end, all she really owned was her consequences.